All right, time for a video. I already started and I haven't cleaned up, but let's do another one. Yeah, I was doing stuff. This stuff is from Parker, from Tennessee. I need to see what I can make out of this. It looks pretty good, and I've napped some of it already, obviously. So it is good, and this one looks pretty good as far as potential. So let's do it. There's some good nodules in there, and I got some good spalls yesterday. This one looks okay. Yeah. All right, so let's find out what it takes to get something out of this Tootsie Pop. Yeah, he already took some flakes off, I guess, to test it out, which is very good. Always test it if you can. If you can't, just bring it all home and you can test it at home, but it'll save you some time if you test it out in the field, as long as you're not creating flakes that people can injure themselves on or flatten their tires on. I've seen people nap at the beach. I don't know how that works. If it's a private beach, I suppose, but if it's a public beach, I don't know. Does not seem too cool to me to nap on the beach. All right. Yeah, when I've been looking for rocks for free at different places, on roadsides mainly, you can tell when someone else has been there, especially if they're sloppy. They'll test it out in the field and they'll leave flakes. They'll test stuff out there, but mostly you can tell when they leave a tested nodule with one flake removed, and you can see it's nasty on the inside. It's a new break. Yeah, that means people have been there already, which is pretty common these days, since flint knapping is becoming more and more common as a hobby. Yeah, people are really exhausting the rock supply. It's getting harder and harder to find the free stuff. The rock is there. We're not going to run out of rock. It's just the easy pickings are getting rare. Pretty soon, the only way you're going to be able to get quality stone is from people who mine it, who buy the land just to mine the rock and sell it. That will be a thing. It already is a thing. There's people who have purchased land just to mine the rocks for knapping. Flint Ridge being the most popular one. Okay. At least from what I know. I'm not that knowledgeable on the rock sources. Nope. Believe it or not. What do I do when I don't have rock to nap? I just go to a nap in and pick up trash and rocks that nobody wants. Of course, nowadays, I've met some very generous people, and they'll send me stuff to nap. And I try not to nap too much. Both because I don't want to burn out, and I don't want to develop arthritis. I don't want to burn out mentally or physically, so I don't nap every single day, or I don't do strenuous napping. There are some weeks where I nap every single day, but it's not going to be strenuous. Nope, I can't do the rough stone every day. Usually, if I'm going to nap every day, I'll do some obsidian as well as regular stone. I'll start the week off with obsidian or something heat treated to make it easy on myself as far as physical stress. Yeah, this is getting a little bit too full of rock chips and rock dust. When that happens, it doesn't grab the stone and peel off the flakes. It bounces off a little bit too much, or it slides off. It becomes too smooth and it won't grab. It does need to grab a little bit. As long as I can see a lot of the shiny, newly exposed copper. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's going to knock off the big lumpy spots. Yeah. All right. That way I can make solid contact with the stone and peel off some good flakes. Yeah, like that. Makes a big difference. I could try to preserve some of this cortex looking stuff, but it's not that easy. Yeah. It's kind of a pain actually to preserve some of this cortex. It's not conducive to being napped, or it doesn't like being napped. Dang it, that was a big mistake, and I didn't even hit it that hard. It was already an incipient. Maybe, yeah. Just a little bit of weakness in that area. I did not expect that at all. I was not hitting it very, very hard. All right, so still good. Yeah. It solves a lot of problems, you know. I was wondering what I was going to do with such a wide point. Yeah. Yeah. I was watching my video that I did on my update on smoking mullein and mint, and a little bit on autism and stuff. And I said to myself, you know, when I said that there's 3 steps that I go through to say stuff, like I'll say it in my brain first, and then I'll say it out loud, and then I'll try to remember what I said so I can make corrections, because there's usually something in there that could be corrected that I did not say right. And then I'm thinking, after all that, I don't have a filter. I still just give you too much information, or is there some filter in there? I mean, I gotta say it in my head first. I can filter it, yes. At that point, I'm thinking about it, I'm going, yeah, I do filter it at that point. When I say it in my brain first. Like on the videos, I say that stuff in my brain first also when I'm doing this. And I do filter it somewhat. Sometimes I think to myself, no, I'm not going to say that. But sometimes it doesn't occur to me that it's inappropriate to say, or it doesn't occur to me that it's too much information, or I'm not aware of how personal it might get, you know. It seems okay, so yeah, I'll say it. And it's more work if I have to filter it, for sure. So I try to just wing it. Yeah. But yeah, I do filter it somewhat, so it's not like I don't filter anything. Or I don't filter it at all. I was trying to answer some questions or research. I wasn't trying to answer. I was trying to research some things about autism that I got questions about. I guess in order to answer the questions. But it's very difficult to remember all this stuff because the people on YouTube who discuss autism, a lot of them are autistic also, which makes sense because, you know, you're going to be interested in what messes you up. You want to try to fix it. So in order to learn what you need to know, you try to, I mean, you don't try, but you end up teaching it because teaching something helps you learn it or helps it to stay in your brain. So some of them talk really fast, or they talk very, how should I say? I can't follow how they talk. They talk too fast for me, or they talk too something, and I can't follow. I got to rewind it, or try to get into a state of mind where I'm completely focused on what they're saying, and I can't have any distractions. It just flies right by over my head in many cases. So it's hard for me to study the videos in most cases. Some cases there's a video maker who talks at the same frequency that I can understand, or we're on the same frequency. But it's rare. Yeah. And the ADHD people tend to be a little bit better than the autism people as far as explaining what's going on. Yeah. Autism is still not very well known or understood. It's not very well understood. Anyways, I'm still looking. I'll give you references whenever I come up with a good reference. I'll do some videos on the autism and give you the references that I'm using. It'll be mostly from the internet. I'm not going to go out and buy books. I might buy a couple books on Amazon, the audiobooks. We'll see. If I do, you know, I'll give you the name of the books and stuff. Yeah. But yeah, one of the hardest things for the brain to do is to self-correct. It's extremely difficult for the brain to self-correct. It's not very good at it. It can develop trauma just by trying to heal itself. Right? So it's a very weird game. You get stressed out because you know something's wrong with the way you think. You try to adjust the way you think and you feel like you're going crazy. It stresses you out and you develop this defensive mechanism that, no, I don't want to do that no more. I don't want to fix it anymore because it's too stressful. So you come up with excuses and your brain puts up defenses against the stress. And then fighting against the stress is stressful. Or fighting against the stress defenses is stressful. Yeah. So you gotta do it gradually. It takes so much time. Yeah. But, you know, you can get there if you just keep pushing. And eventually the brain becomes acclimated or desensitized, or activities and patterns of thought become normalized over time, and you can make some progress toward being more productive. Because that's the whole name of the game. You know, you want to be productive, because it doesn't do any good to have a brain if you can't do anything. What good is it? You know, there's an expression that says that youth is wasted on the young. Well, yeah, if your brain works right. My brain never worked right when I was young, so my youth was not wasted. It didn't work right. I suppose maybe that can be considered a waste, but a waste is usually when you have something of value and you throw it away. But if you don't have anything of value, what is there to throw away waste-wise? Yeah, I mean, I don't want to go back to being young because my brain didn't work right. And I didn't know what I was doing to aggravate my symptoms. I was in the dark about many things, like sleep deprivation is harmful. You know, repeated stress over and over can cause trauma. I thought all that stuff would make you stronger if it didn't kill you. But no. That's saying that what doesn't kill you makes you stronger? No, what doesn't kill you makes you traumatized. It doesn't make you stronger. You end up being this frazzled, worthless cretin trying to find relief. The life becomes trying to find relief. Yeah. You become a little cretin trying to get relief. It doesn't make you stronger. Whatever doesn't kill you doesn't make you stronger. It causes you excessive amounts of stress, at least with people who have neurodivergent brains. Maybe on the neurotypical brain, whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I don't know. I don't have that experience at all, and I did not see that experience with my children either. No. Whatever didn't kill them made them very traumatized. Yeah. Excessive stress over time, over and over and over again, especially with school. I didn't like school. A lot of my kids didn't like school. In fact, they hated school and that environment, and it's getting worse. I actually had to go in and at the suggestion of teachers and sit in classes with some of my children to see what was going on. Why weren't they excited about being there at school? So I sit and watch and listen to what the teacher was teaching. And I said, oh, you know what? I think I know what the part of the problem is here. Yeah. Some of this stuff that or some of the methods, it's not the material. Some of these methods that are being used to teach these days, it reminds me of games, mental games. Like, it's not a matter of learning how to think or what to think. It's learning how to go along with ideas. How do you go along with these ideas? A teacher presents an idea, you have to go along with it, you have to regurgitate it, work in a framework within this idea structure. I don't know. And some of it's nonsensical. Yeah. I didn't want to tell the teachers that, but I told my kids that, you know, this this particular class that you're having trouble with, you've got to play their game. You've got to, if you want to just get through this, understand that it's kind of like a game. I know it's hard and it doesn't make any sense, but it starts to make sense if you treat it as a game, because they want to know how well you can play this game. They want to know how well you can play the game of accepting various ideas that are various narratives and various things that are kind of wonky. I can't remember if that was the way it was when I was in school, but that's the way it is now. It's just a game of accepting and manipulating ideas. And I would hate that also. Not only the social environment, which my kids had trouble with as well, but the intellectual environment is frustrating. The only ones that survive are the ones that just go along with everything. Just go along with it. And they get good grades. Just, go along and regurgitate and work within the framework that they're working with, even though it's like Twilight Zone. I try to teach my kids about logic early. I thought it would give them an advantage. No, not in today's school. In today's schooling environment, logic is, something you learn only in math. Yeah. Or computer related. They don't use logic in other areas. Nope. So anyways, when you're young, I would not want to go back to school or use the brain that I had when I was young. That's the whole moral of the story. I hated school pretty much. I got good grades for the most part. I got excellent grades in the subjects that I liked. Fortunately, I liked most of my subjects, most of the subjects in school. There was a couple that I hated, and I did not get good grades in those. So it's kind of obvious with ADHD that you do well in the things that you're interested in. Yeah. But I didn't know all this. It took me years to figure out workarounds to these little handicaps that I have because of the autism and ADHD. Yeah. Especially the social interactions. Some people rub me the wrong way. I was bullied too. The good thing, the bullying isn't as common nowadays, I noticed, than it used to be. It used to be very common to get bullied. You're walking to the next class. In between classes is when I would get bullied. I'd be walking around, and the bullies would be looking for people that they can push around during the class transitions. And for no reason, someone would yell in my ear or push me. What the heck? Yeah. Easy pickings. Stuff like that. They knew I wouldn't do anything. Yeah. The only time I would do something is when it got me really, really angry. But I never fought in the school. No. I said, no, they're not going to do that to me. I'm not going to be dragged over there to the office. Nope, nope, nope. Anyways, yeah, one good thing is there's not much. I didn't notice much bullying in the schools that my children attended, which is good because bullying is very traumatizing. Yeah, anyways. You can always tell the nerd or the dork, right? The bullies, they know the ones that are not going to do anything. They'll just stand there and take it. Yep. I don't know, they had radar for that stuff. I suppose there are people who have radar for who they can abuse. Yeah. That it goes for adults as well. It's not just immature kids. Yeah, online bullies are called trolls in many cases. But it's a little bit different online. Yeah, it's not a big deal. I mean, some people want to make it a big deal. You can even go to jail for being an online bully. But it's compared to real world, it's not a big deal. That's one thing surprising about the internet. You would think that it would be easy to explain that you can just turn off or block or ignore people who are trolling. But no. Got to make an excuse to make a big deal out of it. Somebody's making some money somewhere. Yeah, I think that's what it is. Mm-hmm. You know how people used to gather around when someone's being bullied or there's a fight, everyone gathers around to watch. That is what the internet has become. Yeah. Spectator sport. Anyways, 28 minutes. I'm going to probably divide this video into 30-minute segments. Yes. Yeah. I should. Some people digest these videos better if they're divided into segments. I just let YouTube remember where I left off. If I watch a long format video, I gotta make sure I do a proper hard stop on it, and then it'll remember. If I exit the video in a weird way, sometimes it doesn't remember where I was. But if I do a hard stop on the video and close it out properly, it remembers. So I can just come back to it. Put it in my likes. Hit the like button, put the video in my likes, and then later on look at my likes and say, oh yeah, that video. And it already has a little marker at the bottom that shows where I left off, like either halfway or quarter of the way. I go, oh, okay. I've already started watching that one. Good thing YouTube has a memory because I don't remember where I stopped watching it. Yeah. I'm giving you all a hint, by the way. Yeah. That's another thing about autism is you're a little bit slow on the uptake. You don't really get hints all that well unless you've trained your mind to see them. See, autists have to train themselves in things that would seem extremely obvious to other people. Yeah. And when you ask an autist a question, it has to be usually very specific, because there's a bunch of answers, or a bunch of potential answers to some of the questions that are being asked in life. Yeah. Gotta be specific, or it throws you off. You learn to kind of assume what is being looked for in the answer. What kind of answer do you want to give? You want to give an answer that you think the asker wants to listen to, or pertain to what they are thinking. So it's a guessing game, because a neurodivergent isn't going to be assuming what a neurotypical is going to be assuming. A lot of these tests, these IQ tests or scholastic tests, you have to make the correct assumptions when answering these questions. Yeah. And some advice I was given when I first started high school is just go with your first answer and your instinct. It's usually the correct one. That's a bad advice to give to an autist. An autist's first instinct is, okay, I have no context, so my first instinct is to be lost. In what context are we talking about here on these certain questions? I mean, the math is pretty easy, but other questions, I can't come up with specific examples, but I think you get the idea. Some questions just when you get it wrong and you look at see what the right answer is at the end of the testing, you can find out what the correct answers were, and you go, that's what I needed to assume? I needed to assume that? No wonder I got it wrong. I wouldn't have made that assumption. You had to make the correct assumptions in order to answer according to how the test is supposed to be answered, or the questions are supposed to be answered. Anyway. Yeah, I have trouble filling out forms as well, because sometimes the thing that they ask for on the form can be answered in different ways. Which way do they want? Yeah. And do they understand the definition of what they're asking? They're asking for blah, blah, blah. Do they understand the definition of blah, blah, blah? Because the definition of blah, blah, blah has more than one meaning. What meaning are they wanting? Exactly. And in what format? I used to have trouble with format of the answer on a form. I don't know if you know what I mean. Anyways. Something as simple as I cannot fit the answer in this little block. So do I abbreviate? Do I ask a question? I can't fit the answer in it. Can I put an abbreviation in here? I mean, I'm stuck on not knowing how to fit the answer in this little space. It's something as simple as that. Is the answer actually shorter than what I'm thinking it should be? Because if I write it in there, it's not going to fit. So maybe that's not the right answer. Maybe it needs to be only a couple or 3 letters. But no, sometimes the answer is very long and they just give you a small space, so you got to try to cram it in there. Or you go past the lines on the form. That's one thing I hated. I had to keep my response within the box. If I extended it out of the box, I would get all nervous. And a neurotypical has no problem extending the answer past the edge of the box. Yeah, they don't care. I remember one time someone told me, "Why are you hung up on that? Just answer the dang question." Yeah, but it doesn't fit in the box. Maybe it's a wrong answer. Or is there an abbreviation? I don't know. Just answer the question. Yeah, the neurotypicals are like, just answer the question. But I can't fit it. And then when I put it in there in the long format, they go, "Wait, that's not the right answer. That is too long." I knew it. I knew it was too long. See? Yeah, but they didn't mean that. Okay, fine. Yeah, forums, it's still driving me nuts. I'm getting better. I don't know, I'm 61 years old and I'm still saying I'm getting better at filling out forms. I don't know. When am I going to finish? I need a special course on how to fill out forms. You know, I got to be educated. What are they assuming? And then one of my sons had the same problem, especially when it came to what race and color and all that kind of stuff are you? Because a lot of times I would just answer other for myself, although, you know, I don't look like an other, but I would, I've got there's many different languages in my family, in my background, and nationalities or genetic variations and all that stuff. And my ex-wife, she's half Native American, right? Or indigenous. I shouldn't say Native American because that implies tribal affiliation. Let's say indigenous. And so my son is like, "What am I, Dad?" Because mom's half indigenous, and you're some too. You're like, I'm 1/8, right? I think one of my grandmothers, well, my great grandmother on my mom's side. Let me see. Yeah. That's where mine comes from. And he says, "Yeah, Dad, you've got some. Well, so what am I? What do I put on here? Do I?" And I said, "Well, you're not tribal affiliated, so you don't put Native American. You can put whatever you want, other or uh, white, Hispanic, or Hispanic, because your mom wants you to put Hispanic because that's what she is. You can put whatever you want." And he would get all confused. And of course, it makes sense. You get confused because now, what do you choose? Yeah. And if you choose one thing one year and then you choose something else another year, are they going to check on you and say, are the race police going to come over and check on you? you fill this form out in a certain way, and now you're a different one. I mean, it's not going to happen, but you know what I mean. It just feels funny. So, you have to, you got to choose what you are early in life in order to be consistent. Yeah. It's not that easy for some people. I don't know if I should be talking about this. Yeah. Maybe it's not suitable for some advertisers. Just between you and I. Yeah. Just keep it a secret. That it's hard to fill out those forms in that when they ask questions like that. For example. And it's hard to answer because my son would say, okay, what do I do? I said, I don't know. I have trouble filling that form out too, man. Yeah. If they had an other on there, I would put other. Even though everyone looked at me and says, you're not an other, you're a white. Yeah, I know, but there's others in my family. Besides, it's easy to put other. Easy. Because it's more ambiguous. Yeah. Don't have to be specific because it's too hard on my brain to be exact. Yeah. All right, so I got it thinned down to where I wanted it, where I want it. I was worried there for a little while that I wouldn't be able to get this thinned down without all that steppiness. But yeah, I should have done the voila on this one here, this last big flake. That was a big relief. All right, so I'll finish this up on the next segment. How's that? I hope that was good. All righty. There you go.